Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be coming at you today, really to give my recount of Ironman Chattanooga 2025, which was actually the only Ironman race, actually triathlon, I had on the calendar for 2025. This race, I'm not gonna lie, was tough. Lots of hills, very hilly on the bike, very hilly on the run, but a fantastic time overall. And so I am here to just break down the day for you and tell you all the fun that I had and tips and tricks. So, all that being said, I'm so excited to have you tuning in today. I'll just kind of take you through the day of the actual race and the events leading up to it, and just overall our time in Chattanooga, which was fantastic. So we flew out a few days early to Chattanooga. Chattanooga's airport is very small, so you're going to take a regional jet in to Chattanooga. The couple days leading up to I was really focused in on pumping a whole heck of a lot of carbs into my system, which was fantastic. I am a carb baby. I love to eat all of the things, but it's also very difficult when you're pushing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of carbs the days leading up to the event when you're not really accustomed to pushing that many carbs to begin with. So that was definitely an interesting learning experience on my end. And what I will say is Chattanooga is absolutely gorgeous, really nestled. There's quite a few hills, tons of greenery, tall trees. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the days leading up to the race, it was, I'd say, partly cloudy, where we had cloud cover most of the day, and then maybe some spurts of rain sprinkles, a little bit here and there the days leading up to the event, which was totally fine, and definitely helped kind of cool it off a little bit. So on race day, it was actually sunny and hot all day. I don't even think there was a cloud in sight. And so therefore it definitely made for an interesting day. So fast forward to the race day, the morning of, and what was great about race day is I woke up early, had my coffee, really attempted to eat English muffin with some peanut butter on it, which I was only able to get a few bites down. Just a lot of pre-race nerves setting in. My least favorite part, as we all know, is the swim. But what I will say is Chattanooga, in case you are not familiar, is really known for their fast swim because it is a downriver swim, and it has a pretty good flow rate at it. Pretty stoked for the event overall. It was my first time racing with pros, and so there was a pro field of just about 70 folks. Sam Long had pulled out the day before, but I did get to meet Trevor Foley the day before the race, which I thought was pretty cool because I do watch all of his YouTube videos and training videos, and small slight connection that he also trained in Tucson, Arizona for quite some time, back up until his move back to Florida earlier this year. So super cool to just be able to be, I think that's what makes this sport really unique, is that us age groupers get to race with the pros. And so I think my bike rack was 2 racks away from Trevor's and all the pros, which I thought was really cool. So the morning of, obviously, we met down at the hotel lobby about 5:30, 5:40, walked to transition. Luckily, we stayed right there, so it was super easy. walked to transition, went and put our nutrition on the bike, pumped up bike tires, got everything ready to roll so that we were out of transition no later than 6:30. That's when transition closed. What's unique about Chattanooga is you take a bus up to swim start, and there's not like a lot of space for spectators at swim start, which is fine. And so we got loaded up onto the school buses and made our way to swim start. And then we really hung out there because the race did not start till 7:30. So you're just hanging out. What's interesting is you're where you're going to run later. So you're really almost pretty much on part of the run course as you're waiting at swim start. But waiting at swim start was fine. I was eating a banana. I had brought a banana, and just kind of downing some liquids, which is key to obviously continuing to push carbs, for your long endurance day ahead. So we, once kind of everything got settled, we got into line. So you're lining up again by your expected finish time. And we had lined up right about the 1 hour and 40 minute mark, 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40 minute mark, which I thought was appropriate. I had finished Florida the year before at 1 hour 40 minutes. Granted, that was in an ocean or the Gulf, and obviously very different wave structure there in Florida versus what we're going to experience at Chattanooga with a true downriver swim. And so it was super great. Vibes were getting really high in the swim start line. What's cool is we were interviewed by Ironman at the swim start, and may or may not have called out one of our friends who had convinced us to do Chattanooga but had to pull out, unfortunately. And so we get into the water pretty quickly, honestly, and it felt great. It was not a wetsuit legal. It was a wetsuit optional race, let me say that. So the water was 76.1 degrees. And so, or 76.6, I don't remember the exact temperature, but the water felt great. I did not wear a wetsuit. And so we got into the water, and honestly, the swim was not bad. I felt, of course, a few fish, that I had touched, which always grosses me out. But the swim sighting was pretty easy. The sun was rising behind you, so you're able to see in front of you without being blinded by the sun. And you can see the buoys, which were super easy to sight. And then you go past this island in the middle, as you're swimming, and then you continue swimming, and there's 3 bridges. Once you pass that 3rd bridge, it's pretty much your signal to turn left, at the turn buoy, and then, head on in. So, I had finished the swim, I think around 1 hour, 13 minutes, somewhere around there. Which is a swim PR for me for the 2.4 mile swim. It felt fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And then the vibes were really high because it's all spectators right there lining the steps. And then, of course, just kind of all along as you're making your way into transition. Making my way into transition was super simple. You know, you're grabbing your bike bag and heading into the change tent, getting everything prepped, downing part of an Uncrustable, all the fun things. And then, of course, making my way out onto the bike. Making my way out onto the bike, I was like, all right, we're going to kill today because I have a swim PR, of 27-ish minutes. That gives me a little wiggle room to at least beat where I thought I would have been in Florida. And so I was really riding that high. What I will say is in the Chattanooga bike course, you kind of make your way out of downtown and straight onto the highway. And once you're on the highway, you are out there for the rest of the day. So there's not much technicality in the beginning of the bike course, which is super nice. It's pretty fairly simple. And then when you make it out onto the highway, there's a couple technical spots when you're switching from one side of the highway to the other, and then making some of your U-turns. And then, of course, the hills. But other than that, the bike course was actually pretty fairly low technically, which felt great. And so making my way out onto the bike course, I was feeling pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously it's hilly and it's not necessarily a straight uphill climb or, getting you to come down kind of the backside. It's definitely rolling hills. And so I 100% believe their course profile in the sense of how rolling the course is. But what I also will say is it's a 3-loop course down on the highway. So there was a part where you're heading down one of the big hills, and I mean you're cresting 35 to 40 some miles per hour depending on how aero you want to get and if you're riding brakes or not. Which I definitely hit over 40 miles an hour on these downhills. So that's a little nerve-wracking, especially if there's other folks kind of around. One thing that was a little nerve-wracking for me just overall was that 45% of the field was somebody that had never done an Ironman. And while I love that because I think that's so cool for a bunch of first-timers, it's also a little nerve-wracking out on things like the bike course where I definitely did see quite a few pelotons together, huddled together 3-4 people deep on these highway lanes, which are already pretty narrow, which made passing a little difficult. I did pass a group at one point because I was just so fed up riding right behind them. And they were not very friendly when I passed. They were saying, "Oh my God, Brindley," because it has my name on the back of my tri-suit. "Oh my God, Brindley, this guy's annoying," or whatever. And I'm like, I literally am just passing you. Calm down. So just definitely some different personalities out on the race course. But I made it to so I made it up and back around, and I was coming back down to then make it back up. And I was at mile 31.2 when my front tire just gave way, popped out. I do ride tubeless in my bike, and I had brought a tube with me to Chattanooga, but I did not put it in my bike kit, mainly because I thought to myself, if something were to happen, I'm just gonna call I'll just flag race support, right? So that part sucked a little bit, if I'm being honest. I really felt great. I mean, 6 miles beforehand, I was like, don't forget to smile every mile. We're gonna kill today. It's gonna feel great. And I was in my groove. So then 6 miles later, I was like, oh no, what's happening? But what's super cool is one guy had stopped to try and help me. He was just saying like, I'm having a crappy day. I'm going to make it to the next aid station and pull from the race. And, I'm trying to encourage him, like, please don't, like, it'll be a great day. But he was trying to help me. Unfortunately, my tire had unseated from the tube. So there was really nothing we could do. And then this lady, Catherine, I'll never forget this, but Catherine, thank you so much if you do see this video. She was phenomenal. I met her at Swim Start. She's actually from Tucson, Arizona. So we made that connection right at Swim Start. And she had seen me, and stopped and said, what do you need? Here's a CO2 cartridge, so we're fumbling with everything. And I'm like, no, I think it's really just unseated. It's fine. I'll flag race support. Go on your day. Go have a good rest of your race day. And then shortly after that, my friend Shanna had stopped and said, oh my God, what happened? And I explained the whole situation. And she's like, okay, I'm going to wait with you. I said, I love you, Shanna, but go. Please go. And so that was super great. So I just kept telling her, like, please go, you can do it. And she's like, no, when my tire popped a couple weeks ago in Waco, you stopped with me. And I said, I know, it's fine. And I had flagged race support. So I had seen some race officials and I said, hey, I really need help. Can you call SAG? So they called SAG. And luckily, I was able to convince Shanna to continue on her journey. And then SAG had come to help. The whole ordeal took about 30 minutes, which in hindsight is not a lot of your day. But when you are feeling good and you kind of stop, or, you know, you're banking kind of on your nutrition plan on a per hour basis or whatever it might be, it definitely throws some kinks in the road for the rest of your day. And so anyways, SAG got there, helped me add an inner tube in that bike really quickly. I mean, he was in and out in 2 minutes. It was fantastic. And then I was on my way. So, I had made it again, you know, back down around, and to special needs. I stopped at special needs, got some of my nutrition from my bag there, continued on my way up until mile like 80 something. Yeah, maybe 85, when I had stopped at an aid station to use the restroom, just grab some more nutrition, and then made it back down. Oh my gosh, y'all, when I say like it's never ending, that highway never ended. So you finally kind of make it to where your turnaround was and you keep going to get off of the course and you're like, okay, like it's gotta end right here, basically, which is also another uphill. Don't even get me started. But then you continue going, then you finally pull off the highway and there were 4 more climbs off of the highway. One, my computer registers as an 8.8% incline climb, and I mean all of us folks were going 4 to 5 miles an hour up that climb. In fact, I really wanted to get off my bike and just walk it because I was so sick of looking at hills all day long that I was just tapped out at that point. But I had made it in, and it was super cool. Mary had seen me a couple times on the bike. She had gotten into a car with a newfound friend. And she had made it down the highway a couple times to see me, which is super great because then I was able to communicate with her and tell her like, hey, my tire popped. This is what's happening on the course today. But it was hot out there. Again, not a cloud in sight. You're just losing a ton of fluids, and seemingly not keeping up enough fluids because, you know, you're kind of working tactical hills and, you know, sucking water while trying to breathe going uphill is just not a fun thing. So once I had made it back to Bike Inn, it was great. I was able to see Mary and my mom, and I was able to mouth to Mary some things, and then I made it to the change tent, or grabbed my bag, made it to the change tent, changed into my run stuff, and I was out. I was gone. I was out on the run. It was still daylight. It was feeling good. Now, when I say I was feeling good, I was not cramping anywhere. I definitely felt like, okay, like I'm fresh in the nicest sense. But also, like, I was definitely having some stomach cramps, stomach issues versus, like, muscle cramps. And so made it out on the run, and I actually full-on ran for at least the first mile to 2 miles. I do walk the aid stations. I think that's brilliant, by the way, just to walk through the aid stations. And since I was having somewhat of stomach issue, I just thought to myself, okay, down a Coke. But I don't think the Coke helped. I definitely think it made it worse, which is unfortunate. But I was able to jog a lot of the run. Now, Chattanooga is known for Barton Hill. Barton Hill, you hit 2 times. It's a 2-loop run course. And so you hit it right at mile 9. It's like an uphill, little flat uphill, and then downhill. once you make it downhill, you kind of cut through this golf course / country club area that is also rolling hills before you make it back over the bridge to mile 13, which is where your personal needs run bag is, and then sending back out on the next 13 miles. So I will say I ran past this restaurant on the first loop, and it was maybe 3 miles or so, and oh my gosh, it smelled so good. It smelled like rotisserie chicken, and that's all I could think of, is that I was hungry for like real substance versus gels and bars and Uncrustables. Nothing against Uncrustables, but there just comes a point when you're done in your season with them. And so I was just so ready, and that chicken smell stayed with me for the whole rest of the run. It was so good. And kind of in the initial stages of the run, you're kind of running through this back wooded park area, which is great when it's light out. But by the time I was on my second loop, it was dark out, and it was definitely more difficult to see. So I definitely think there needs to be a little more lighting kind of down there. But overall, the run course was not bad. It was hilly. It sucked. But, you know, I continued to tell myself, like, you signed up for this, number one. And number two, you just have to embrace the suck. Because embracing the suck sucks, but it's also so fulfilling at the end. Now, don't get it twisted. At mile 13.1, when I got that personal needs bag, I was sitting on the ground. I could probably insert the video here. I'm sitting on the ground, and Mary's like, can I help you do this? Can I help you do this? My mom's like, do you need help doing this? And I'm like, I don't need any of your help. I love you all. I don't need any of your help. I just need to get through this damn thing. So, as soon as I had kind of snatched my bag and was going to take it to the trash, because you don't get your personal needs bag stuff back, you know, I'm walking away, and in the video, my mom's like, what did he say? And Mary's like, probably F you, which I don't know what I said at the time, but it very well could have been. What I will also say is, because of my learnings in Florida, I actually took a water bottle that was in my run bag in transition 2, and I held on to that water bottle for 26 miles. And I would fill it up at the aid stations, and it was fantastic because it allowed me to take a lot more water in on the run than I would have otherwise, because I was able to drink in between the aid stations. So definitely something I plan to do in future Ironman events as well, is to have some sort of water on my body to take on additional fluids throughout. It was really good. I will say it was a tough race, and even though it was tough, running through that finish line, hearing the cheers, you could actually hear the cheers coming over the bridge from kind of the last, 2-ish miles or so. You can really start to begin to hear those cheers, and that fuels me. I think that's fantastic. I think it's so exciting. And so crossing again that finish line was fantastic, and just so fun. I was able to eat pretty immediately after that, and get athlete food and sit and hang out, and then continue to cheer on my friends so that Shanna, our friend, could cross the finish line shortly after. And so just little things like that were just super phenomenal, and of course enjoyed every minute of it. Now, running a long endurance event like that definitely takes a little bit of time to recover, as your sleep is a little messed up, your food intake is a little messed up, of course your hydration, all the things kind of piggyback off of each other. But what I will say is I felt pretty rebounded the next morning. The next morning I was up fairly early, like 5 something, So had a good 5-ish hours of sleep. And actually, I think it was 4-ish hours of sleep, and went down, had my coffee, had breakfast in the hotel, and then walked down to Ironman Village to get your finisher shirt, and then came back to the hotel and got Mary and my mom up so that we could go to the awards breakfast, which was down at the convention center, which was super convenient. And they had, kind of light bites, like some fruit and yogurt and things of that nature, just to watch the award ceremony, which I thought was really cool. It was really cool to see a lot of the pros there. And then, of course, the race video, which I will insert here, because we were in the race video, which I thought was a lot of fun. I also could say thank you a million times to so many people, just the support and love on this journey. But number one, Mary, thank you so much, because your support, your love, all the things that comes with this sport is definitely huge. And you Sherpa so well. I don't think anybody could be a better Sherpa. My family, just in general, from the kids to my parents to my siblings, just everybody's support and love. I get lots of text messages from cousins and family, and of course all my friends that are just so encouraging, and there's just not enough words to tell you all thank you. That means so much. My coach, who is fantastic, Joe Rinaldi, who just gives a ton of tough love and support in the right mix, the right amount, the right time. So needed. And then, of course, just my very large and small, which I think are very together, group of friends, right? One, it was fantastic to race again with Shanna, seeing each other, of course, starting the swim together, seeing each other on the bike course, seeing each other on the run course, even though she definitely wanted to kill me by the time we were on the run course. It was fantastic. And then just all of the prep and the training and just all the thought that goes into something like this, all the planning, it's not easy. And I know, especially in the weeks leading up to the race, I'm definitely more short-tempered, but it's not directed at anyone or anything. It's just when you get into these events, your brain starts to go a million miles a minute, and you're checking kind of things off in your list in your head to make sure that you can kind of hit everything that you've needed to, you didn't forget anything, that your nutrition is planned and on point. So just a huge thank you to everybody that deals with me on in any sort of prep. We are deciding what is happening next year in the sense of Ironman races. Mary gets to choose the full distance Ironman next year, and I have decided I'll do at least one 70.3 next year, even if it's a repeat of a course I've already done. So stay tuned to see what's happening there. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask them below. We'll chat soon.